Բարի օր, ես Աստղիկ Սարգսյանն եմ։ Մեր դերքը պահում ենք կարևոր եւ հետաքրքիր իրադարձությունների զարգերակին։ Իմ տաղավարում այսօր Միացյալ Թագավորության դեսպան Ջոն Գալագերն է։ Պարոն Գալագերի հետ քննարկելու ենք Starmus փառատոնը, Միացյալ Թագավորության մասնակցությունը փառատոնին եւ Միացյալ Թագավորություն Հայաստան հարաբերություններն ընդհանուր առմամբ։ Mr. Ambassador, thank you for accepting the invitation.
No, thank you very much for having me on your show.
They say that Yerevan has turned into a world art and culture center for a few days now. You've been participating in the events yourself. Is it as impressive as it is commonly believed to be?
Yes, I would say Starmus 6 is a really wonderful concept as a way to make science and culture accessible to people and be a platform for bringing world-class scientists, educators, to talk about the sorts of issues that are really, really cutting edge. So I think it's a really great idea to bring all of these experts together, these cultural figures. And I think it's a wonderful thing for Armenia too, to be the host of this great event. And I think it will bring great benefits to Armenia in terms of international profile and visitors. And I think in that sense, it's already a real success. But what makes me really proud is the strong British flavour that you see in the guests and the activities that are going on here. I was lucky enough to be at the opening ceremony of the event on Monday, and one of the real highlights of that was seeing the Stephen Hawking Medal being awarded to a couple of British leading figures. One, Dr. Brian May, also famous for being the guitarist in Queen, and also Dame Jane Goodall as well. Both recognised for their really, really impressive work in making science more accessible and popular. And it's not only about the science, I think the cultural element is very strong here too. And it was really, really pleasing for me to see so many British songs being referenced, David Bowie covers being sung by the astronaut Chris Hadfield, covers of Beatles songs by the Armenian Philharmonic Orchestra, and even a Pink Floyd song covered as well. So I was really, really pleased to see how prominent the UK was in this programme so far, and I think that is a sign of the UK's depth of experience in both science and culture.
So on the whole, you're saying there was no exaggeration, that this was truly impressive and like world-class, on a world-class level, right? Right.
I mean, the sorts of speakers that are coming to Starmus 6 are some of the world leaders in their fields. I was at some events yesterday where I listened to one of the world leaders in artificial intelligence. And this is a really great opportunity for people here to have access to people working on those issues that are really, really at the edge of what's possible right now. So I think it is a genuinely impressive scientific experience.
Mr. Gallagher, how do you assess the Armenian cultural atmosphere and the cultural life that we have here? I mean, was Armenia really a wise choice for Starmus? I mean, do we have anything to add? Do we have value to add to the whole event?
Well, I think Armenia makes a lot of sense for the Starmus Festival. I mean, clearly,
why so?
Armenia has a strong history of innovation and technological expertise during the Soviet times. And even now, Armenia is producing some really great technological advances through the companies that are here and the expertise that you have. And I think at the same time, on a cultural level, Armenia has lots to offer people that are here to learn more about the long history, the rich culture that Armenia has to offer, not just visiting Yerevan, but visiting all the regions. There's lots to see. And lots to appreciate in terms of Armenian music, Armenian food, Armenian craftsmanship. So I think it's been a great choice.
So it's been a real cultural exchange, I guess, for the visitors and for the locals.
I would say so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. How was the United Kingdom represented in the Starmus Festival, besides what you already mentioned above, Mr. Gallagher?
So there are a number of speakers coming to Starmus, and several of them are British. We have speakers that are experts on topics such as climate change, such as biochemistry, that kind of thing. And I think the UK has a long history of leading the way in terms of scientific developments, going back to the time of Isaac Newton and Charles Darwin, to more recently Alan Turing, and at the moment there's lots of really quality scientists based in the UK, and a lot of the research that is being done by the experts that have come to Starmus has been alongside British scientists too. So I would say a lot of the topics that are being covered here, and the things that people are being introduced to are linked to have a very clear British input as well. And when it comes to space, the recent developments such as the James Webb Telescope, which has produced some amazing images that have been really popular all around the world recently, that's got a very, very clear British element to it as well. One of the 4 components of that telescope is British designed and built. So it's really, really pleasing to see the way in which British research and development and collaboration adds up to some really impressive scientific developments.
And obviously you like sharing those rich scientific traditions that you mentioned above, starting with Darwin. Mr. Ambassador, are the cultural and scientific ties between the two countries strong enough, or do you see much untapped potential?
Well, I think they are very strong at the moment. There's a lot of collaboration between UK researchers and UK universities with Armenian universities too, and that's something that I want to encourage even more of. So we run a number of programs to try and bring those experts to work on joint projects together, because clearly the UK has strengths, Armenia has strengths, and when they're added together that can produce some really great innovations. One of the projects that we sponsor is called Creative Spark, and that is about bringing those universities together, and there's already a long list of some of Armenia's leading universities partnering with some of Britain's leading universities too, and the idea being that will create these new scientific developments that will bring real benefits to people. And one of the things that we also sponsor is achieving scholarships, which are master's programs for students all around the world, where we essentially fund them to visit the UK, have a year, we provide all their costs, and that's not just focused on science, that can be science or arts or any other master's topic, but it's a real demonstration of how we are committed to bringing Armenian students and future leaders to the UK and helping enable that collaboration. So I think there's a strong record, and I want to encourage even more of that.
Despite the efforts that you mentioned, there's this impression that the United Kingdom and Armenian relations are kind of covered by a veil. What I mean by that is that as an average citizen who doesn't follow news agencies, for example, wouldn't know what's actually going on between these two countries. Why do you think is that, and how to increase awareness of what's going on between the two countries?
Well, I see that as part of my role is to demonstrate to people here in Armenia what the UK can offer, why the UK is a partner for Armenia, why the UK is a friend of Armenia, and of course Armenia has its own embassy in London that is doing the same thing in the other direction. I think events like Starmus are actually a really, really great way of helping raise awareness in both directions, because Starmus is not an Armenian event, it's a global event, but in Armenia. And through that, you have a global audience that is now looking at Armenia. So I think that's a really great opportunity. And at the same time, Starmus has such a clear British element to it that it's helping introduce people here to what the UK strengths are and what we are leading the way on, not just in science, but also in culture and arts as well. So I think it's always a challenge to try and raise the profile of what your country is doing, and I face that challenge with the UK as well. But I think there's things like Starmus and other international events are a really good platform for doing that.
Mm-hmm. Would you recommend Armenia to an average British traveler? Would a British traveler prefer a medieval church country, a country with rich historical heritage, to another one that has, say, better developed infrastructure?
Well, I think it's hard to generalize about what all travelers want, but I can see that there is certainly a lot of attractive things in Armenia that would make for a really rich experience for anybody visiting here. I think clearly those people that like history, like nature, like food, all that stuff, there's a lot to discover in Armenia, a lot to enjoy. You mentioned infrastructure being a challenge. I think it is a challenge, and the better the infrastructure is, the more accessible these great touristic sites are. So I think that will help, and the fact that there are sadly no direct flights from the UK to Armenia at the moment also is something that I would love to see happen, but sadly that's not in my control.
How about the Armenian cuisine? I know that the British like to eat well, and I recently hosted Mike Butcher, an editor again from Britain by origin, and he told me about how the cuisine played actually a great role in choosing the place for himself. Would you say that plays a role to you? Do you like what you are treated to here in Armenia?
Yes, very much. I think Armenia food culture is very rich, and there's really lots to enjoy in terms of trying different taste, flavors, things like that from this part of the world. It's not something that we would find regularly in the UK, perhaps. Although actually there is, a vibrant Armenian community in the UK, and there are Armenian restaurants there too. But yeah, I think that's certainly one of the strengths of Armenia, and something that would make it an attractive destination.
Mm-hmm. The British are known for their reserved nature, and the Armenians are on the opposite, considered to be hot-blooded and very temperamental. Has your stay been, has this been an obstacle to your stay here, or it's okay for you to be dealing with the Armenian people?
I wouldn't say there's been any obstacle like that in my experience. I've been struck by how warm and welcoming people here are. Very hospitable, very generous. I haven't experienced any downsides that come with the hot-blooded nature of Armenian society. Only the positive side in terms of passionate, welcoming people.
So, are you enjoying your stay here, or you can't wait to serve your term and be back home?
No, I'm very much enjoying my time here. Me and my family really love Armenia. Appreciate the welcome that we've received. We have lots of good friends here, and I'm looking forward to the next 3 years.
Starmus will be over in about a few days. Afterwards, is there a cultural event planned that is coming so we can enjoy it?
A cultural event as part of the Starmus program?
Not necessarily. Okay. Maybe something else as well.
I'm not sure. I know that there's several festivals in Armenia. Music festivals and food festivals, so I think this is one of a range of things for people to enjoy in Armenia, and I'm certainly looking forward to experiencing those too. Okay,
let's turn to more general topics like the UK involvement in science. We started with Starmus, but we know that UK is not limited to Starmus. So would you like to describe the UK involvement in science? What have been your country's recent achievements, and which parts of those achievements you've been sharing with ours?
Sure. Well, as I say, I think the UK has a really deep level of experience in scientific research and development going back hundreds of years, and we have some of the world's leading institutions in terms of scientific research, and not just pure sciences, but also applied sciences that relate to things like climate research, which is a huge topic, healthcare, all of those, advanced computing. So they're really, really key areas of UK expertise. I think if I was to highlight a couple, I would say life sciences, so healthcare, that kind of thing. The UK was really at the forefront of research and development of COVID vaccines. So Oxford University, working with AstraZeneca, developed a vaccine and manufactured that very quickly, and that really, really made a huge positive difference in the fight against the COVID pandemic. So I think this was one of those moments where it really showed the value of scientific expertise, and certainly in the UK, people were extremely appreciative of the work that scientists had done. And on the other side, I would say really cutting edge technology like artificial intelligence, machine learning, that is an area where the UK has significant expertise, and this is going to be one of the issues that becomes top of the, a leading issue in terms of what the world will have to deal with, and integrating that as part of the solution to the challenges that we all face. So I think the UK definitely has a lot to offer in terms of the scientific expertise that we can bring to support global challenges, not just working on things just for science's sake.
How has the United Kingdom been contributing to women's involvement in sciences, Mr. Ambassador?
Well, I think we've certainly put a big focus on encouraging more women to participate in the scientific community, and this is perhaps in the past been seen as more of a male field, but there's a real drive now to encourage women and girls to see science as a pathway to a future career, to encourage girls to study science subjects like science, technology, engineering, mathematics at school, and then bring the next generation of scientists, and for women to have a really, really prominent role in making those scientific discoveries that are really important. It's great to see so many female scientists as part of the Starmus program. I know there's lots of really, really exceptional women that are working in science in kind of non-space science, but this is something the UK really wants to encourage. And here in Armenia, I'm really proud that my embassy has funded a program called Tech Boost for Women and Girls, and that's focused on women and girls that were displaced from Nagorno-Karabakh, giving them training for to create future career opportunities for them in the technology sector. And so far, I think 50 have been able to do that, and able to find jobs in technology. So that's really, really pleasing, and we want to encourage more women to look at science as an area for their future careers, and our Chevening scholarship scheme is part of that as well. Of the 200 Armenian alumni we have in Chevening, more than half are women, so that's great, and I hope that they will become future leaders in whatever field that they have chosen to study.
Couldn't agree with you more on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Starmus միջազգային փառատոնից Միացյալ Թագավորություն Հայաստան մշակութային հարաբերություններից զրուցեցինք Միացյալ Թագավորության դեսպան Ջոն Գալագերի հետ։ Կհանդիպենք։